Good morning, class.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
Not mail.
Okay. Welcome to this week's lesson. Last week, we were able to cover the definition of economics, and we were able to also cover the relevance to everyday economic decision. That we described the different definitions of economic proposed by major economists, and also why economics is considered as what? A science. So we couldn't touch on the differences between microeconomics and macro, then the positive economic statement and normative economic statement. That was part of the first week's lessons. So today we will just cover the micro and macro, then the differences between the positive and normative economic statement as the part of the first week's. Then we moved straight to this week's lesson. And by the end of this week, you are supposed to be able to explain the concept of scarcity and its role in economic decision-making. Describe the scale of preference and how it guides individuals' choices. Then you should be able to define opportunity cost and apply it to simple economic decisions. And also to be able to interpret the production possibility frontier and explain the trade-off between goods Then lastly, to analyze the law of increasing opportunity cost and identify efficient and inefficient production points. So in economics, we have what is known as micro and macro economics. When you talk of microeconomics, you are talking about the study of individual consumer, the study of individuals, consumer, and firms. And it examines the price determination, production decisions, and choice making of the individual's consumer. So example is like, when you go to the market, the price of tomatoes that you buy from the market is an example of microeconomic decision. So it studies individual decision makers. It explains the consumer behavior, the firm decision, and the price formation. So, for instance, when you want to buy a mobile phone, the price of mobile phone that you ask from the shop, the decision you take when you are buying the mobile phone is known as what? Micro. That's a small study. It studies the individual consumer, you as a consumer, the firm is the micro when it comes to economics. So I'm saying that microeconomics is the study of individual decision making The decision making of the individuals include the consumer, the firm decision, and the price formation. An example of such microeconomy is what? The price of what? Tomatoes in Kumasi market. Then students' demand for internet data. You want to buy internet data. Your decision to buy internet data is known as what? Microeconomics. Then you have macro. The macro aspect of economics deal with the economy worldwide. That they study the economy as a whole. The decision on, let's say, inflation, growth, unemployment, and exchange rate are all examples of macroeconomics. So it examines the economy as a whole. It focuses on what? Inflation, growth, unemployment, and exchange rate. So in Ghana, the macro analysis explains the inflation trends, the interest rate decisions, the exchange rate movement. Are you okay? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir, we
sir.
are with you, sir.
I'm saying that we have two major differences when it comes to the study of economics. You have the micro aspect and the macro aspect. The micro aspect is how we study the individual consumers and firms' decision. The decisions include the price determination, production decision, and your choices, the consumer choices. So such decisions include tomato pricing in Kumasi, tomato pricing in Ashanti region, tomato prices in Accra. They are all part of microeconomic studies. Then the macro, that is the broader focus on the economy. It studies the economy as a whole. It studies the economy as a whole. And what are some of the economic decisions? So it focuses on what? Inflation, growth, unemployment, and exchange rate decisions. So in Ghana, the macro analysis explains the inflation trends, it explains the interest rate decisions, and the exchange rate movement. So right now, which macro issues affect you mostly, affect you directly? Are you with me? Hello?
Yes, sir. We are with you.
Yes, sir, we
Michael
are with
again.
you.
Michael
Okay,
again.
so I'll say the FX space.
Yes, it's part of macroeconomic decisions. Now, what else? Ando.
The inflation.
Yes, inflation. They're all part of macroeconomic decision. Oh, I'm okay now. Can we move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The another aspect is we want to know the difference between positive economic statement and normative economic statement. When we talk of positive economic statement, it involves factual statement. Positive economic statement involves factual statement that can be tested with evidence. For example, if you are saying that inflation increased last year, it's a factual statement. Or if you are saying that fuel prices rose after tax adjustment. In 2026, you can say that inflation has reduced. So it's a factual statement. So any factual statement is known as positive economic statement. And the positive economic statement is a statement that can be tested with evidence. So we are saying that inflation has reduced, but we have evidence. Inflation is currently what? It's a single digit. So we have evidence. So positive statement deals with what? Testable evidence. So it explains how the economy operates using evidence. Then the other aspect is normative economic statement. The normative economic statement involves value judgment and policy recommendations. So a statement such as government should subsidize fuel to reflect societal preferences. So such statement is value judgment, and it's just a recommendation. It's not fact. It's not based on fact. So, for instance, if there's an issue that you've invited an economist to advise the government on, the various recommendations from the economist forms part of what? The normative economic statement. For instance, the issue of cocoa pricing. If you invite economists to decide on the reduction in the cocoa price, if you want to get any recommendation from them about 3 economists, some will say, oh, why don't you adjust the price? Because the farmers are suffering. The other economists also say that, oh, because inflation is at a single digit, the price is okay. So such recommendation from economists is known as what? Normative economic statement. So the difference between positive and normative. The positive describes reality and is testable. The normative economics describe desired outcomes and reflect values. Both are important in what? Policy debates and policy decisions. Any question on this? Michael Ajay.
Okay, thank you, sir. So I would like to know which of the do we adopt the positive or the normative, and which one is the best, or both can run concurrently?
Yes. As I said, both are important in policy debates. But when it comes to fact, then we base on the positive economic statement. Now, world market price for cocoa is falling. So when you invite an economist to decide, when they are basing on the world market price, it's positive because it's based on fact. But if you want to seek a recommendation, fine, the evidence is there, but you want to seek recommendation. So the economist will tell you that, oh, though the price is falling, so if you adjust it to suit the price, then it's okay. But let's take the farmers' welfare for instance. Will it affect their welfare? So why don't you adjust the price to, cater for their welfare? So when that policy recommendation comes in, so automatically both has been adopted in decision making. I hope I'm clear.
That's right, sir.
Okay. Then we move to today's lesson. So today's class will cover the fundamental analysis of economics, which is what? The scarcity, cost, and marginal analysis. When you talk about scarcity, what comes into your mind as an economics student, as a procurement student? When you talk about scarcity, something is scarce, what comes into your mind? Michael?
Insufficiency.
Juliet? So I want each and everyone to type you need to type it and let me see. When you talk about scarcity, type at the chat section. Mavis is saying that shortage. Emmanuel is also saying shortage. Out of session, limited, shortage. The resources are limited. Okay. Not common. Okay. Limited resources. Limited in supply. Not in plenty. Insufficiency. Lack of resources. Okay. They are all layman's view about what? Scarcity. But in economics, when you talk about scarcity, it means resources are limited relative to human wants. The resources are limited relative to human wants. Because resources are scarce, individuals must make choices. So everyday choices involve a cost. So economists call what? The cost as what? The opportunity cost. So we are saying that when it's talk about scarcity, it's when people want more goods and services than the available resources can produce or the available resources can provide. Human wants expand continuously. Right now, if you're using, let's say, Cola X, if you have money, you want what? You want Benz. So because your wants are insatiable, but your resources are limited, therefore you need to make a choice. So human wants are unlimited, but resources are limited. So resources such as land, labor, capital, and time are limited. So resources such as land, labor, capital, time are limited. So this mismatch between the unlimited wants and the limited resources creates the economic problem. Last week I said something like, if not because of unlimited wants and limited resources, there's nothing like economics. So this mismatch between unlimited want and the limited resources create what is known as the economic problem. And when you talk about unlimited wants, what comes into your mind? We are saying that human wants include food, clothing, housing, education, transport, and leisure. So people continually desire more goods and services to improve their welfare. Right now, if you are living in one bedroom, you wish for living in what? A chamber and hall. When you get chamber and hall, you wait for living in 3 bedrooms. It means your wants are unlimited. What about the limited resources? The limited resources used in production are limited. So these resources include land. Economics classify the resources, productive resources, into 4 categories: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. So land refers to natural resources. You all know land. Am I going fast?
Yes, sir.
A bit faster.
Yes, please.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I'm saying that scarcity occurs when people want more goods and services than the available resources can provide. Our wants are unlimited, but we have limited resources. Now, if I'm using Camry, but if I see Benz, I wish I can buy the Benz, but if I have a limited resources. So the mismatch between the unlimited wants and the limited resources creates economic problems. And when you talk about unlimited wants, we are talking about human wants, which include food, clothing, housing, education, transport, leisure. They are all unlimited wants. you are eating, let's say, fried rice, but if you get pizza, you wish you can buy pizza to enjoy yourself. It's part of your unlimited wants. So economists are saying that people continually desire more goods and services to improve their welfare. But we have limited resources. The resources, economics has classified resources into 4 categories. We have land, which refers to the natural resources. Then we have labor. It refers to the human effort. Then we have capital, the machines, tools, infrastructure we use in what? Production. They are all capital. Then the entrepreneur or the entrepreneurship, it refers to the ability to organize production and take what? Risk. So the entrepreneur combines the other 3 factors of production and takes risk. So let's consider this example. A child wants 4 cedis soft drink and a 2 cedis pack of biscuits, but he has only 5 cedis. So with this, the child must choose which item to buy. So this illustrates what? Scarcity. Because the child cannot buy both items, a choice must be made. So this simple example illustrates what? Scarcity. I hope it's clear.
That's right.
So that's the scarcity in our everyday's life. What about the scarcity of a firm? Because the time that we were talking about microeconomics, I said that the decision of the individual and the decision of the firm, they are all micro. So scarcity affects individuals, scarcity affects the firm as well. The time that we were dealing with the macro, I said it was decision affecting the economy. So scarcity also affects the government. So the first aspect is the scarcity of the everyday's life. That's the individual consumer. So the chart is an example. So let's take the scarcity for what? The firm. Businesses also faces scarcity. A firm has limited workers, machines, financial resources. Because of these limitations, the firm must decide what goods to produce, how much to produce, and what production methods to use. So these economic decisions involve scarce what? Involving what? Scarce resources. Are you with me? I'm saying that firms as well also face scarcity problem because they have limited machines, they have limited workers, they have limited financial resources. So because of the limitation, they must decide what goods to produce at that appropriate time and how much to produce and what production method to use. So are you telling me that Belacqua will just come up and start producing champagne? Hello, class. Can Belacqua just decide to produce champagne? Because he has limited, because he has limited resources. Because he has limited resources. He has limited machines. He has limited financial resources. Therefore, he has to decide what goods to produce. Now he started producing what? Water. Now he has moved to soft drink. Then later on, he will move to, let's say, production of what? Other alcoholic beverages. So let's discuss this. Why can't firms produce unlimited quantity of goods? Hello? Why can't firm or why can't businesses produce unlimited quantity of goods. Go to the comment, the chat section, type it. Why can't firm produce unlimited quantity of goods? Okay, Richmond is saying that because their resources are limited. Appear, lack of resources, production capacity. Michael is saying they must match their resources with demands. Yeah. Colin is also saying that because their resources are limited. There's Steven, because they have limited supply of resources. Okay, their resources are limited. Market demands, limited labor. Okay. Yes, because they have limited resources. Then what about the scarcity of the government? The government also faces scarcity. The government wants to spend on education. You want to spend on healthcare. You want to spend on infrastructure, security, and many other programs. However, tax revenue is limited. Therefore, he has to decide how to allocate their budget. So let's chip in this scenario. Are you telling me that the government giving workers 10% adjustment in salary last the beginning of this year, are the workers worth it? It's below what the other government gave to workers. But because of limited resources, he needs to adjust. Because of scarcity of resources, the government needs to what? Adjust. He needs to allocate their budget well, not to affect the other economy. Because tax revenue is limited. Therefore, the government must decide how to allocate their budget. He needs to prioritize what his policy or what his campaign message or what was included in his campaign message. Therefore, he has to allocate their budget based on their priorities. So this is why economic policy often involves difficult choices. For instance, the minority in parliament will be forcing the government to complete the Agenda 111. But on the budget, those agenda was not on the government budget. He didn't allocate resources for that project. Therefore, when it comes to policy, the economic policy decision, it involves difficult choices. Okay, class. So name one government sector where finding decisions are difficult. I want each and everyone to participate. Note, whatever decision, whatever participation you are making, I'm giving marks to it. So name one government sector where finding decisions are difficult. I want you to type it. Name one government sector okay, education sector. Michael, you are saying Ghana Revenue Authority. Are you saying that sector or that authority is having difficulty when it comes to allocation of government resources?
Yes,
Michael,
sir.
sorry.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain further? Because
Yes,
Ghana
sir.
Revenue Authority is not a sector; it's an institution.
Yes, sir. Even though they are an institution, they form a very critical part of the government's finance. So let's say that the finance sector of the country, because
Okay.
if they are able to um, broaden the tax net and then
Okay.
generate more revenue and collect more taxes for the government will be able to um, you know um, support all the other sectors that may need the help,
So why are they
including
not
education,
able to?
transport.
Why are they not able to widen the tax network, the network?
So because revenue mobilization is very low, and I think that education that has to go to citizens for everybody to know their responsibility, and especially businesses, whether small, medium, or big, they must all contribute, to the revenue generation of the country. So I think that they are not educating enough, and then they are not also going out to mobilize these resources. So the little people that they have, or the little business that they have, they sort of like put pressure on the small group of businesses that they've been able to bring in, and they keep increasing the taxes. But instead, if they are able to broaden their net and then bring everybody on board, probably they will generate more revenue, and then the taxes will go down, which may not affect businesses as well.
Me, I think it's because of our mindset. Because a Ghanaian would take mobile money loan. Then, after using the loan, he will just put the SIM card aside and go for a new SIM. The same thing applies to the businessmen or the other businesses. They will make sure that it will be difficult for the government to capture them onto the revenue network. And also, the staff of the Ghana Revenue Authority are also involved in their dubious means. Instead of them to collect the actual revenue, they rather go there to get some coin from the businessmen. So that's the major issue that we are having as a country. Because, first of all, our mindset is very bad. And for Ghana to accumulate sufficient or enough money or enough revenue, we need to, as I always say, God has to kill all of us. Then when he's done killing us, then he comes with a new set of people. Because our mindset is wrong. Because you need to pay tax. Even if someone gives you a gift, you need to pay tax on it. If you go to US and you are there and someone gives you a gift and you don't pay tax on it, you'll be there and then they will come and arrest you. You know the reason why? Because their system is working. But how can we as a Ghanaian, allow our system to work? It's very difficult because of what? Politics. We need to capture everybody onto the system. Then when you are captured on the system, then we can apply the principles. For instance, in Ghana here, the application of economic principle is not working because our mentality, then we don't have correct system. So how can someone just take a mobile money loan? Then after using the loan, he will just throw the SIM card away. Then register for another SIM. So if the system is working, will someone be able to do that? Never. But the person has forgotten that the mobile money loan that he took is from one bank. A bank is facilitating that product. But he has forgotten that taking that money without repayment will affect the bank. So the major issue that we are having, not being able to accumulate enough revenue, is our mindset. and corruption. Okay, you fall down well. So when it comes to scarcity, the scarcity leads to three fundamental economic questions. So what to produce, how to produce, and to whom. So you can say that what goods should be produced, how should goods be produced, and for whom should goods be produced. So every economic system must answer these questions. Next week, we'll talk about economic systems. So I'm saying that with scarcity, it leads to three fundamental economic questions. What goods to produce, how should goods be produced, and to whom should goods be produced. So every economic system must answer these questions. Can we move on? Any questions?
Yes, there's a question.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is Emmanuel. So my question is, I just want to find out, why is it difficult, or let me ask this way, since you are an economist, why can't we have a national policy instead of depending on these political manifestos? Because I can see, because of that, if Party A does a project and the Party B is not in support, or since he's in power and then he wants to be praised by the people, he also tend to do different and abandon the ones that the previous administration did not complete it. So my question here is, why can't we have a national policy, but instead party manifestos?
Yes. You've answered it by yourself. It's all because of political gains. Because we have the perception that in politics, you call something like a political ethos. Political ethos. Like in Ghana, if you want someone to vote for you, the person will just say that, oh, Massa, you've not done anything for me, so why do you want me to vote for you? So at the very moment that they want the vote from the people, then they will go and construct a shadow road for the voters to vote. So because of the mindset, we always want to be in power. So for any person to come up with such policy, they are not abiding by that, because it will be difficult for a particular, let's say, government to say that, oh, we want to come up with a national policy. But when it comes with a national policy, what way or what means can the person massage the system to get his way out? Because one, the money involved to come into power is very huge. For a minister, for an MP to be voted into power, it comes up with huge sum of money. So if you tell the person that, oh, you should come up with a national policy, whereby whatever decision you are taking has to conform with the national policy, it will be difficult. Because all the national policies, we have it. We have principles of state policy in our constitution, whereby the government has to conform with the state policy. But what are we doing? We are doing something based on our manifesto because of what? Election. Because of power. No matter what, we want to come into power. So if there's a policy, then we have a bad mentality that, oh, if this person started this and I continue with, then the other opponent will say that I started it. So automatically I did it. Therefore, the citizen, because of the political ethos, the citizens would therefore attune to the first politician who started it. So from then, it will be difficult for Ghana to come up with a national policy. If you go to UK, for instance, they have national policy, of which the Queen or the King normally make sure that whatever decision you are taking conform with what? The policy, the national policy. You can't just come up with your campaign message just to dupe the system. It's never done in the developed countries because they have national policies. They have authorities or they have institutions making sure that whatever decision they are making conform with the national policy. But in Ghana, we don't have. I learned an institution started during Kufuor's time, but they couldn't materialize it because of what? Political gains. So that's the reason why it's difficult for us to come up with a national policy. Gilbert.
Please, good morning.
Good morning.
Don't you think our problem is we having in quotes democracy? Because I see it in a sense that in a way that before this democracy, before this politics, before Kwame Nkrumah, we used to have our leaders, the chiefs, the kings, and the rural, those who rule us in these rural areas, who used to, lead us. But since now you are saying we have politics, everybody is sharing his mind or his view. I don't think that is the problem because in UK, as you are saying, yes, although they are practicing democracy, but they conform with the monarchy. That's the king over there. If whoever you are in, your policies or your views are not in line with with the monarchy, you will go. So I think that's our huge problem as Ghanaians. That's our huge problem. Because from Nkrumah time, that's Nkrumah regime time, that we were having infrastructures, factories, and all these things. Since Nkrumah was thrown out from government, Ghana, as Ghana we know, have never been the Ghana that we knew at Nkrumah times and Nkrumah's era again. So I think that is their problem. The so-called democracy that we are having, that is causing damage or that is causing harm to the country we live now. Thank you.
Okay. And what you are saying in a way, it has a positive side. But let's come to the negative side. Every coup d'etat, every government that came to power through coup d'etat was accused of what? Corruption. Every government, the government that came through coup d'etat were accused of what? Corruption. So if we are saying that coup d'etat is better than the democracy, but still they were accused of what? Corruption. Democracy, in a way, is the best for Africa. But the issue is our mentality. Our mentality. Our mentality. We need to change how we deal with things. And for us to change, we need to come up with a national campaign. We need to capture everybody on the database. Being able to capture people on the database. You know that, oh, Kwame, Michael, you know that Michael is a businessman dealing with gold at Offenso. Abigail is a businesswoman buying necklace at Kumasi. Because you've captured Abigail, Michael on the system, it will be difficult for Abigail or Michael to dupe the system. But if you come to Ghana, you don't have such. Go to UK. UK, if you get in touch with a white man from UK, master, they are very corrupt. When it comes to dealing with you as an individual, as a person, they are very corrupt. But when it comes to something affecting their country, they will never do. Because any decision that will affect their country, he will be arrested. But just get in touch with him. They are very corrupt, but with their when affecting a country, they won't. So we need to get that mindset as a Ghanaian. It's not about the system of government that we are practicing. It's not about the democracy that is affecting us. It's our mindset. It's our mindset. So how can a government, let's say they want to do this project, but they inflate the price of the project? A government project costing, let's say, 2 million cedis, 2 million cedis. But because it's a government project, it will rather cost about 10 million Ghana cedis. It's our mindset, because it has to adjust the system so that the contractor will give him the tips, the 10% tips. And aside that, the payment of government revenues to the contractors always delayed. So because of that, they have to inflate the contract figures. They are all affecting our mindset. They are all affecting our economy. Any question? Can we move on?
Yeah, we can move on, but I just
Hand
want
is
to
up,
add up
please.
to
Gilbert,
My hand is up,
the
please.
mindset that boss you're talking about, sir, you're talking about. Whenever there is
okay,
time
go
to
on.
vote, there is a time for us to vote, and there is campaign going on, we see this our politician going at the rural areas, some places where maybe after voting he or she will never step foot to. They go there, and I know there are some of my security personnel here who, when is doing this vote, we are deployed to those places where, sir, sometimes it's even sad to describe that place as part of Ghana. So getting data, and sir, they knew all these things. When it's time to vote, they knew the electoral commission knew all these places, all these rural areas. But after voting and they are now in power, it seems like is it ignorance or something? I don't really know. I don't really know, because it's a whole lot, sir. It's a whole lot.
Yes,
It's a whole
because of
lot.
it's all because of education. The time that democracy started, during the Greece time, then the US adopted it, the UK, other stuff. They didn't allow the illiterate to vote. They didn't allow illiterates to vote. And even women were not voting. They didn't allow illiterate and women as well to vote. Because with the illiterate, they are saying that when someone buys you, let's say, salt, you can just vote for the person. Because you can't take major decision on your own. So they didn't allow illiterates to vote. But now, education in the UK and US, they have more literates than any other countries. But it comes to Ghana, the illiterate are even more than the literate. And even we have educated illiterates as well. Because the politicians have given him 100 Ghana cedis, he rather go and vote for that politician. So as I was saying, it's all based on our mindset. We need to change as a Ghanaian. We need to change our mindset. Other than that, there's nothing that we can do that can help in the development of this country. As I always say that unless God kill all of us, otherwise we will be there, then there's nothing to improve ourselves as a Ghanaian.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Sir, please, I want to recall on my colleague who was talking about the dictatorship or coup d'etat government.
Okay.
In Africa per se, we need a government like that. But the problem is that it had economic implications. For instance, military government, it brings discipline, but no development. Because,
Okay.
for example, if you are an investor and there's a military government, you are free to come and invest because anything can happen. So that's why democracy is better than the military government.
Yes.
But the democracy, we don't understand democracy. We don't practice it. We use it in the opposite way. Because in the Western countries, you come to the radio or the national television, you talk about your policies. Whatever, when you come, you do for the nation. You don't come to the radio station or the television and be insulting one another, saying all sort of things.
Yes.
As if you are in a cage.
Yes.
So what would the children learn from them? And then the other aspect is that now you are a lecturer, you are our lecturer. When it's time for MP, and you are asking us to go and campaign for you, we need money. The money that we'll go and give to the people so that you will come to power. And aside that, we need money for we ourselves, our pocket. You see how we are.
Yes.
So in this case, when you come to power, or before when you come to power, don't you also have to get your money back?
Yeah, that's why I said
Yes.
politics is very expensive.
So we have a long way to go.
It's a serious business.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's move to another concept, choice. Because resources are limited, individual must choose which ones to satisfy. So this is why economics is often described as what? The science of what? Choice. So economic analysis examines how people make these decisions. So with economists, you examine how people make some decisions. For instance, if the government is reducing the price of cocoa, why is the government reducing the price of cocoa? So that's what economics analysis we do. So economics analysis so normally we call it a science of what? Choice. If a businessman with a capital of, let's say, 5,000, but you see that businessman using iPhone 16 or iPhone 17. So as an economist, you examine what kind of decision that this person did to come up with the buying of the iPhone 16. So every individual, society, government make choices. Because of scarcity, we all make what? Choices. So what are some of the most difficult financial choices you have made recently? As a student, what are some of the most difficult choices you've made recently? But I hope you all make choices. Michael J.
School fees.
School fees, the most difficult choices. Yeah. Why did you choose to pay school fees?
Oh, so I assessed all the ones that I have. Then I put them on a scale of reference.
Okay.
And
good.
Is that at this point in time, it was the most prudent thing to do, rather than maybe getting a new device to maybe for shaggy reasons. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Then there's another concept known as trade-off. So trade-off occurs when obtaining more of one good requiring giving up another good. So example is spending money on a new phone may reduce the money available to pay your fees. So trade-off exists in almost every economic decision. So using the money to buy the mobile phone means sacrificing current consumption. Or no, like paying school fees. Paying school fees means sacrificing buying, let's say, iPhone 16. So always trade-off is unavoidable in economic decision making. So when we talk about trade-off, it means obtaining one good requiring giving up on another. So there's a trade-off. Then another concept is optimization. Optimization means making the best decision given limited resources. So making the best decision given limited resources. The individual attempt to balance the benefit and the cost. I want to optimize. Oh, I want to buy a mobile phone. Hey, this phone will cost me 6,000 cedis. So what is the benefit will I get from the buying of the mobile phone? Oh, when I buy the phone, I can use it to do my online courses. I can use it to do my online lectures. Therefore, the cost and the benefit, I need to balance it. If the benefit outweighs the cost, it means I'm what? Optimizing. So when it comes to optimization, the goal is to obtain the greatest possible satisfaction. The other concept is economizing. Optimizing is different from economizing. Economizing means making the most efficient use of available resources. For instance, the lady will be saying that, oh, me dear, I'll never marry Hello. Hello, class.
Hello,
You
sir.
are now back. You are back
Sir,
now.
Yes,
we can hear you.
So economizing means making the most efficient use of available resources. So individuals must decide how to allocate scarce resources. So when someone is using his resources efficiently, we say that the person is economizing. So our next concept is the scale of preference. Because we have limited resources, we need to list our wants in order of preference. So listing your want in order of preference is known as scale of preference. So the scale of preference is the list of unsatisfied wants arranged in order of what? Priority. So individuals rank their wants from the most important to the least important. So this ranking helps individuals to rationalize their choices.
If it's only this one, you can manage. But to pick from the other side.
So let's take an example from Mr. Kwe. So Mr. Kwe has 5,000 Ghana cedis, but he wanted to buy bed, mattress, shoes, wristwatch, radio, and television. So on his scale of preference, he listed his items based on his priority, based on the importance. So he wanted to buy the bed first, then followed by the mattress, shoe, wristwatch, radio, and television. But his income is just 5,000. Because his income is limited, Mr. Kwe cannot purchase all the items, but therefore he has to choose to purchase bed, mattress, shoes, and wristwatch because his income can only cover the price of mattress, bed, shoe, and wristwatch. But the radio and the television must be postponed. So this illustrates how scarcity leads to what? Choices. Any question?
So then you have to look the other side and bring it here. Once they move this one, they mount it. Because it's supposed to help them mount it up.
Can you move on?
Yes, sir.
You have to tell them.
Now we are saying that because of scarcity, we need to make choices. And after making the choices, because of our limited resources, we need to arrange our want in order of preferences. So the arranging of the want in order of preferences is known as the scale of preference. Then, because Mr. Kwe couldn't buy all the items, the remaining item that he couldn't buy, the concept is known as what? The opportunity cost.
Because they come here, they say it's urgent. So
Hey, watching.
It's Monday.
Watching, you are disturbing us.
Depending on how we
So opportunity cost. Opportunity cost refers to the value of the best alternative that must be given up when a decision is made. With Mr. Kwe's example, since he couldn't buy radio and television, forgoing that radio and television is the opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is the value of the best alternative that must be given up when a decision is made. So every economic decision involves opportunity cost. Example, a student chooses between attending lecture or working as a part-time. So if the student attends the lecture, the foregone wages represent the opportunity cost. Now you are attending lectures, now you are having online lectures. But if you choose to use the time for other work, that can fetch you some coin. So the opportunity cost is for you foregoing the wages but attending lectures. So if you decide to attend lectures, the foregone wages represent your opportunity cost. An example from the business perspective, a firm has three possible tasks. Let's assume that this firm has three possible tasks. Task A worth $100,000. Task B worth $75,000. Task C worth $50,000. So if the firm performs task A and B, the task C cannot be performed. Therefore, the opportunity cost of performing task B is the value of the best alternative forgone. So in this case, the opportunity cost of the task B is what? The $5,000. Is that clear?
Very well.
Let's
Very well,
go.
sir.
I'm saying that when it comes to the individual consumer, and a student is choosing between attending a lecture and working as a part-time. So if the student attends the lecture and forgone the wages, the foregone wages represent the opportunity cost because he can't attend or he can't do both at the same time. So he has to forgo another aspect. But with the business perspective, assuming a firm has three possible tasks. Task A worth $100,000. Task B worth $75,000. Task C worth $50,000. So if the firm decides to perform the task A and B, the task C cannot be performed. So the opportunity cost of not performing the task B is the value of the best alternative forgone. So what's the value? The value is the 50,000. So the task C becomes the opportunity cost. Can we go on? Any question?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
So my question is, why is the $50,000 rather the best alternative? Because I was thinking that if the firm used the scale of preference, it means that probably their best choice at the time would have been the 100,000, and then the I mean the first amount that they spent. But I'm done. And the 100,000 and the 75,000, that would have been their best alternative. But I'm trying to understand why the 50,000 that they couldn't spend is rather their best alternative.
Yes. So you are saying that the value of the task C becomes the opportunity cost. So because he couldn't perform that task, he needed to perform only two tasks at the same time. He can perform B and C and forgo A. He can perform A and C and forgo B. So if he performs task A and B, then the task C cannot be performed. Therefore, the opportunity cost for the task C is C rather, because the value there is 50,000. Is C, not B. So the opportunity cost for performing the A and B is the taxi, the best value alternative for gone. So in this case, the opportunity cost of C is what? The 50,000. Hope it's clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So our next topic is production possibility frontier. Now we move to one of the most important economic tools economists use to explain scarcity and trade-off. This tool is known as production possibility frontier, often abbreviated as PPC or PPF. It's either PPC or PPF. You can call it production possibility frontier or production possibility curve. So the production possibility curve shows the combination of two goods that can be produced when resources are limited. So it is a graphical representation used by economists to illustrate the problem of scarcity and the concept of opportunity cost. It shows the maximum combination of two goods that can be produced using available resources and technology. Because resources are scarce, producing more of one good requires sacrificing some of another good. So the PPF therefore illustrates the trade-off, scarcity, and choices. So you are saying that it illustrates scarcity, choice, and opportunity cost. So let's consider this table. Study this table critically. We all know that production combination available for the firm is the worker, as shown in the table. So if all the time is used to produce benches, the table represents the production of chairs, benches, the time spent, and the worker. So if the firm used all the time to produce benches, it means he can produce 20 benches and zero what? Chairs. If he spends all the time to produce chair, he can produce 10 chairs but zero what? Benches. All the other arrows represent different combination of what? Production. So this combination forms the production possibility available to the worker. You are saying that if he spent 1 hour to produce 4 chairs, he can only produce what? 18 benches. If he spent 2 hours to produce 7 chairs, he can only produce 14 benches. If he spent 3 hours in producing 29 chairs, he can only produce 8 benches. If he spent all the 4 hours to produce 10 chairs, he can only produce what? 0 benches. And if he spent all the 4 hours to produce benches, he can produce 20 benches and 0 what? Chairs. So this production possibility what? Where the firm combines the available resources, because he can produce all the 2 items on equal basis, but he has to adjust one for the other. So when the combination of the table is plotted on the diagram, this is what we can see. So first step, in plotting a table on a graph, the first step is that you plot chairs on the horizontal line. What are the horizontal line? This is the horizontal line. Then you plot the benches on the vertical line. We all know that when the firm used the 4 hours to produce 10 bags, 10 chairs, he can only produce 0 benches. So producing 10 chairs means he's producing 0 benches. So it will be so this is the point for when the firm is producing 10 chairs, but rather 0 benches. But when the firm uses all the resources to produce 20 benches, he can produce 0 chairs. So this is the point. Assuming the firm uses 1 hour to produce 4 chairs, then 18 benches. This is the point B. I hope I'm clear. Hello?
Sir, please go again.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm saying that with the production possibility frontier or the production possibility curve, we are talking about a graphical representation used by economists to illustrate the problem of scarcity and the concept of opportunity cost. It shows the maximum combination combining 2 items on the curve due to the availability of resources and technology. The issue of not producing not producing 1 item at a time is because of limited resources. And also it's also based on what the production choices. So we have a hypothetical firm that is producing chairs and benches. He has only 4 hours in the production of the chairs and the benches. Let's assume that he's not using any of the hours to produce chair, but he's using all the 4 hours. He can produce 20 what? Benches. But when he's using 1 hour to produce, when he uses 1 hour, he's rather producing 4 benches, but he can produce 18. He's rather producing 4 chairs, but he can produce 18 benches. But if he uses 2 hours, but he wants to produce 7 benches, he has to reduce the number of, he's producing 7 chairs. He has to reduce the number of benches, that is from 18 to 14. Because he has to forego some chairs in order to produce additional benches. But if he uses all the 4 hours, he can produce 10 chairs, but 0 benches. So this table can be represented on a graph form. So in representing it on a graph form, it is based on some steps. We are saying that with the first step, you need to plot the chairs on the horizontal line. This is a horizontal line. Then you plot the benches on the vertical line. This is a vertical line. So we are saying that the firm uses all the resources, the available resources, the workers, and the time. He produced 10 chairs. Because he uses all the resources to produce the 10 chairs, he can only produce 0 benches. Therefore, this is the point. So let's name this point what? F. If the firm is using all the resources to produce benches, he can produce 20 benches by 0 what? Chairs. So that's the point A. But the firm has decided that he wants to produce some benches and some chairs. So he has forgo 2 benches to produce 18 benches. Therefore, he can produce what? 4 chairs. So this is the point B. So when you join the 18 benches to the 4 chairs, we get the point B. When he produces 14 chairs, but he can only produce what? 7 benches. So it's the point C. If he produces 8 chairs, he can only produce 9. If he produces 8 benches, he can only produce what? 9 chairs. So each point on the curve represents a different allocation of resources. So each of the point A represent different allocation of resources. Chairs and what? Benches. So 20 chairs, 20 benches, 0 chairs. That's the point A. Point B, 18 benches, 4 chairs. The point C, 14 chairs, 14 benches, 7 chairs. Then the point D, 8 benches, 9 chairs. Then point F, 0 benches, 10 chairs. So the points on the curve, the points on this curve represent a different allocation of what? Resources between chairs and benches. Any question?
A question, please. My hand is up, please.
Okay.
So, in an event whereby a problem like this is presented, would a table be provided so that the graph is constructed or plotted
Yes.
by us?
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
So when you go to the LMS, I've given you the notes as well as the slides. At the tail end of the notes, I have some practical questions for you to try your hands on.
Well noted, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Ima.
sir, yeah, sir, did you answer the Michael's question because I didn't get it well?
Oh, someone on the platform answered it.
Oh, okay.
It will be provided. The table will be provided.
Okay.
So that you'll be able to plot alongside the combination on the curves.
Sir, please, I want some clarity on the table, just for a second. So if you look at the table, according to the table, are we comparing the number of hours that were used to produce each item, or we are taking the total number of hours that were given? I'm asking this because the table, for example, the chairs, the when you come to the 1 hour, the time spent in hours, the 1 hour was used to produce 4 chairs, and then the benches, 3 hours was used to produce 18 benches. And so my question is, when you were explaining, you mentioned we using the company using 4 um within the 4 hours, they spent they use the 4 hours, to okay, the 1 hour, they use 1 hour to produce 4 chairs and then 18 benches, but the 3 there was ignored. I just wanted a little bit of clarity on this.
Okay. The production possibility frontier or the curve, it shows the different combination of production. It's not resources. So we are assuming that the resources available to the firm is time and worker. Time and worker. The worker has 4 hours in producing chairs and benches. So if he uses all the 4 hours in producing benches. He can produce 20, but 0 chairs. If he uses 3 hours, he can produce 18. So on the table, you are just considering the production, the product made. The same thing applies to what? The curve. So the combination. So it's an allocation of resources between the chairs. So the production, the 20 chairs, the 0, the 20 table, the 20 benches, then the 0 chairs. That's the allocation of what? Production. The allocation of resources between the chairs and the table. The benches, rather. So you are just combining the production, the final product, the chairs and the benches, not the resources. Because the resources 0, 4, 20. One, you have to rather considering what? The product, the production. So that as I said, all the arrow represent different combination of a production. So these combinations form the production possibility available to the worker. So different production possibilities available to the worker. Different production possibilities. Production possibilities. So on the graph, you can see that moving from initially the person produced 20 benches but 0 chairs. But coming to 18 benches, he has forgone what? 2 benches. Then to 14, he has forgone. When he produced 18 benches, but 4 chairs, he needed to forgo 2 benches. Moving from 18 to 14, he needed to forgo what? Additional 4 in order to produce 7 what? Chairs. So moving from one, so moving along the production probability curve illustrates the concept of opportunity cost. Hope it's clear.
Hello, sir.
Is it clear?
Hello, sir.
Okay. So
Hello,
an
sir.
example. Come up.
You have
You
a
have any?
question?
Okay.
Yes, sir. So, sir, please, maybe you've given us the table and we want to illustrate it on the graph. So how would we know which one are we using for the vertical or the horizontal? Because maybe me like this, I might choose to use the benches as the horizontal.
You can
Then
use any. You
you
can
can use
use
any.
any,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, thank you.
But when you are drawing the graph, you need to check the production, the product, the total product here. For instance, if this side is 1, 2, then the scale, you have to check the scale as well. So if you see that over here, the scale is a quite larger than this, you need to know how to maneuver your way out. So it's a matter of just drawing the up to scale. You use the scale. If 2 centimeters to 2 units, you need to adjust it to suit 2 centimeters to 2 units on this side. Then the same thing applies to this side, 2 centimeters to 2 units or 2 centimeters to 1 unit. It's a matter of using the scale. So when you are moving along the production possibility curve, you are illustrating the concept of opportunity cost. Moving from, when a worker moves from point B to point C, the worker is moving from point B to point C. It means he's reducing 18 to 14 benches. He has forgone 4 additional chairs, 4 additional benches. But he has adjusted it to 7 what? Chairs. So he has increased what? The number of chairs. But he has forgone what? 4 additional benches. So moving along the curve illustrate opportunity cost. So when the worker move from point B to point C, the chair's production increases, but the bench production decreases. So 20 to 18. So from 20 to point A to 8, the point B. So 20 to 18, the production of benches is reducing, but that of the chairs is what increasing. So when the worker is moving from A to B, the production of benches has decreased, but that of the benches has increased. B to C, production of benches has decreased, but that of the chairs has increased. So the decrease in benches represent opportunity cost of producing more chairs. The opportunity cost therefore measures what must be sacrificed to produce more of another goods. Is that clear? Any question?
Hello, sir. Please, I have a question.
Yeah.
Please, can you please go back to the previous slide where the table is? No, the graph, sorry. The graph, sorry. So you said the opportunity cost for the B and then C. You said 18, 14, that is 4 additional benches. So when you use 4 additional benches, doesn't mean you are going to add the 2 already, which was decreased from 20 to 18, or is it just the 4? I don't know if you get my question right.
Yes. We will come to that. We come to the calculation. Relax. We will deal with that.
Okay, thank you.
When we are done with how to calculate the opportunity cost using the graph, you will get to know. So when you want to calculate opportunity cost on the table or on the graph, first of all, you need to identify the increase in the production of one good. So first of all, you need to identify the increase in the production of one good. This is the increase in production of one good. Then you need to identify the decrease in the production of the other good. Then you measure the decrease in the production of the other good. Then you divide the loss by the gain. Hope it's clear. In calculating the opportunity cost, you follow these 3 steps. You first of all identify the increase in production of one good. Then you measure the decrease in production of the other good. Then you divide the loss by the gain. So the formula is the loss in one good divided by the gain in another good. So the calculation shows that the cost of producing one additional unit of the calculation shows that it shows the cost of producing one additional unit of good. So let's take we saw on the graph when moving from point C to point D is 14 to 8. At 14 benches, the worker was producing 7 chairs. That's C. Then D, at 8, the firm was producing 9 chairs. So in calculating for the production opportunity cost, first of all, what is the gain? That's the gains in 9 chairs minus the 7. The 9 chairs minus the 7. The firm was moving from C to D. C to D. At C, the firm was producing 14 benches and 7 chairs. But when moved to point D, the firm was producing 8 benches but 9 chairs. So first of all, you need to identify the gain in chairs. So the gain is the 9 minus 7. They need to identify the losses in benches. That's 14 minus 8. So 9 minus 7. That's for moving from C to D, there was a gain in chairs. That when the firm was producing 14, he was producing 7 benches. But when he moved to 8 benches, he was producing 9 what? Chairs. So there's a gain in chairs while there's a loss in benches. So you identify the gains and you identify the losses. So when it comes to the losses, it's the 14 benches minus the 8, giving you 6. Then the 9 chairs minus the 7 will give you 2 chairs, which is the gain. So when you want to know the opportunity cost, it's dividing the losses by the gain. So the opportunity cost is what? 3 benches. Let's go over again. The firm was producing 14 benches at point C. So in producing 14 benches, he was producing 7 chairs. Now he moved to D, where he was producing 8 benches but 9 chairs. So let's compare the 14 benches to 8. It means there was some loss of what? The 14 minus 8. But when it comes to the chair, there was gain, 9 minus 7. So in calculating for opportunity cost, you subtract the 7 from the 9, subtract the 8 from the 14. Then you divide the losses by the gain. So the firm got 2 chairs as a gain, but he lost 6 benches. So the opportunity cost is the 6 divided by the 2. It's got what? The 3 what? Benches. So it means that producing 1 additional chair requires sacrificing 3 what? Benches. Any question?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Please, in finding opportunity cost, is there a possibility that you are going to get a negative number?
It depends, but I don't think you get a negative number.
I'm asking so because a question was asked as to whether you have to use chair for the x-axis and then benches for the y-axis. So in a case, maybe I used benches to come, I don't know, the benches for x-axis and then chair for y-axis. I don't know. I don't know if we should calculate, see whether you're going to get the same answers or something.
Yes, you get the same. You get the
The
same number.
chair should be the vertical and then the benches should come the horizontal so that you see whether you're going to get a positive answer or a negative answer. And then if a question is asked to calculate the opportunity cost, would it be specific, calculate from, let's say, point C, or they will just ask you to find the opportunity cost?
So assuming, no, your issue is, if the question is based on chairs, so if the person is based on, let's say, what would be the opportunity cost for like moving from D to C. So moving from D to C means the firm was initially producing 9 chairs, but 7. But when he moved to C, he's rather producing what? 7 chairs. But at 9, he was producing 8 chairs. When he moved to C, he was producing what? 14. So when it comes to what the bench side, there's also a gain with the bench side. Hope I'm clear.
Yes. So
So
meaning they are going to be specific. Let's say opportunity cost from point D to C.
yes.
Okay. So can you please do the test being on the vertical axis and then benches on the horizontal axis to see whether you're going to get a positive answer?
So let's calculate it. Now, it based on the figure. When you move these figures to this side, it will not affect it. As I said, you should consider the gains and the losses. It's not about the figure on the side, because the negative, you not get negative here. You not get negative there. You are just plotting the production. The issue is that when you are using all the resources to produce 10, you are producing 0 benches. When you are using all the resources to produce benches, you are producing 20 benches and 0 chairs. So if you sacrifice, assuming you are using all the resources to produce chairs and some benches, and you produce 9, it means you need to forego 1 chair in order to produce 8 benches. So if the person decides to produce 7 chairs but 14 benches, it means he's foregoing what? 2 chairs, but increasing what? 8 benches. I hope I'm clear. So let's say that the firm is rather moving from B to C, D to C. So if you are moving from D to C, where would the gains lie? The gain will be on benches. The losses will be on chairs. But the formula is saying that, first of all, you need to identify the increase in production of one good. So moving from D to C, where would the increase lie? It will lie on what? The benches. To lie on the benches, but the losses will be on the chair. But if the question demands moving from C to D, the increase will lie on chairs, but the losses will be on benches. So first of all, you need to identify the increase in production of one good. Then you measure the decrease in the production of the other good. Then you divide the losses by the gain. That's the opportunity cost. So no matter the change in, let's say, the vertical and the horizontal, it will never affect it. But you need to stick into the points. So in terms of, when it comes to the question, I can rather instruct you to draw the benches on the vertical line than the chair on the horizontal line, to get a uniform what? Graph. So it can be stated in the question. But if you interchange the horizontal or the vertical line, if the question is not demand such, you arrive at the same answer. So it's not about, so when the firm was producing 9, then 7, there was a loss of what? 2. Are you with me? So first of all, you need to identify the losses and the gain. You identify the losses and the gain. He was moving from C to D. Where was the gain and where was the losses? Moving from C to D, the losses was from 14 to 8. Loss of what? 8. 4. No, 8 rather. Then from 14 to D, from C to D, He had a gain from that 7 to 9. There was an increase in 2 shares. So you need to identify the losses in one product, then the gain from the other goods. Then you extract the differences. You divide the losses by the gain. Then the value you get is the opportunity cost.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Gideon.
Is there the case that the opportunity cost will come with the decimal, or always it will be in a whole, number as such?
It can be in a decimal because you are dividing. So assuming this side is 5 divided by 2, it will be 2.5, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Is that okay?
2.5 benches. Okay, sir.
Yeah. The next concept is the law of increasing relative cost. If we continue moving alongside the production possibility curve, if you continue moving alongside the production possibility curve, we notice some important thing. So the first is when we are moving from A to B, additional chairs requires giving up only a few benches. Additional chairs requires what? Requires giving up few benches. But as chairs production increases further, we must sacrifice more and more benches. So this pattern is called the law of increasing relative cost. I'm saying that as production of one product increases, its opportunity cost increases. Such principle is what is known as what? The law of increasing relative cost. In the example, the chairs and the benches, the first chair produced required what? Sacrificing few benches. The later, the chairs require sacrificing many what? Benches. Therefore, the opportunity cost rises as production what? Increases. What are some of the reasons why opportunity cost rises as production what? Increases? We have two major reasons. The first reason is diminishing returns. We are saying that as more resources are devoted to producing a good or in producing product, the additional output from each extra unit becomes what? Smaller. For example, the first hour may produce 4 chairs, but the later hours produce fewer additional chairs. So as time goes on, you will see that the production will be what? Reducing. So as more and more unit of what? Product or resources is devoted in producing a good, the additional output from the extra unit becomes smaller. Assuming you have 1 acre of land and you are producing maize, and you start with one labor, and the labor was able to produce 4 bags of maize. Then you add 2 laborers, they were able to produce, let's say, 8 bags of maize. But immediately you add 10 laborers, and they produced 20 bags of maize. No, they were able to produce, let's say, 10 bags of maize. You can see that the additional extra unit, the extra unit becomes what? Smaller. The additional unit that the additional labor is adding up to becomes smaller. Because it can come to a point that some workers will not be working. They will feel relaxed. Some resources will feel what? Reluctant. It not be made to be efficient. So the additional output, that the additional labor or the additional resources will be smaller. So the first reason is when opportunity cost rises as production increases, is the diminishing returns. We are saying that as more resources are devoted to producing a good, the additional output for each extra unit becomes smaller. The laborers will be cutting themselves. They'll be hurting themselves. So instead of them to work, devote their time on the same land, but the additional output, initially the 2 laborers will be producing, let's say, 8 bags of maize. But they were able to produce 8 with 2 laborers. But you added 10 laborers. But for them to produce, but they are rather giving you about 9 bags of maize. So with the 6 laborers added to the 4, or they added to with the 4 laborers, with the output, how much output are they adding up? You can see that the additional output becomes smaller. So the same thing applies to chairs and the table. So first hour, they produce 4 chairs, but later hours produce fewer additional chairs. And also another reason for such is some resources are better suited in producing certain goods. As production expands, less suitable resources must be used. This increases what? Opportunity cost. Any question to this point? I'm saying that on the graph, or the production possibility graph, moving along the production possibility curve, you first notice that in producing additional chairs required giving up. Producing additional chairs, moving from this side, producing additional chairs requires giving up only few benches. But as chair production increases further, we must sacrifice more and more what? Benches. So the pattern is what we called was the law of increasing relative cost. And we are saying that we have 2 major reasons for increasing the opportunity cost. And what are some of the reasons? The first is diminishing returns. When you talk about diminishing returns, we are saying that when you add more resources in producing a good, additional output from the extra unit becomes smaller. Typical example is you have 1 acre of land. You initially employed 2 laborers. They were able to produce, let's say, 4 bags of maize with the 2 laborers. Then you added 8 additional laborers on the same piece of land. By the end of the season, they were able to provide 10 bags of maize. When they were 2 laborers, they gave you 4. But when they became 10 laborers, they only gave you 10 bags of maize. So additional 6 were added up to the 4. So with the 2 laborers, they gave you 4. But with the 10, they are adding up only few. They are adding up small amount. So such issue causes an increase in what? Cost. So with our example on the chairs and the benches, we are saying that the first hour produces what? 4 chairs. But the later hour produces fewer additional chairs. The first hour gave us 4 chairs. But the later hour gave us fewer additional chairs. Fewer additional chairs. First hour we got 4 chairs. Then the 2 we got what? 7. 4 to 9. 4 to 7. Additional was 3. By the time that we moved to 2 hours, we got 9 chairs. So the additional chairs is reducing.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
In the course rep is saying time up here. The time's up.
Time is up.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hello,
So,
sir.
yeah, we couldn't.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Gideon.
Sir, before we go, what if 5 labor gives us 6 output? We increase the labor from 5 to 10, and they are still giving us 6. Is that diminishing returns?
If 5 labor with the initial 4, the 4 laborers give us what? No, the 2 laborers give us 4.
Okay, so let's say 5 laborers give us 10 output, right? And we've increased the labor from 5 to, let me say, 8, but they are still producing, they are still giving us the same output of 10.
I said zero diminishing returns.
So that's 0 diminishing returns.
Even
though the labor has increased, but the output is still the same.
You are talking about returns. See, the returns is automatically the previous minus the current. So what additional output did the labor added up? They added 0.
Sure.
It was 0 returns. Hope I'm clear.
Okay, so 0 returns. So it hasn't diminished. It has break even or what?
Yes. You are talking about what you are saying. You deal with it when we are working on demand.
Okay, sir, that's fine. Okay, sir, that's fine. Thank you.
Production. We will deal with when you're dealing with production. When we talk about diminishing returns, marginal diminishing rate, other stuff, we deal with that. But here we are talking about increasing cost. I'm saying that we have 2 major reasons: the diminishing returns and the differences in suitability of what resources. And when we talk about returns, it's about your previous minus the current, the addition, what you've added. So if you add additional labors and they are giving you 0, what have you gained? Okay, so we have to call it a day. Time is up. Go onto the LMS. I have some practical examples for you to try your hands on. You try your hands on. Then next week, we can just go over it and see how you're able to cover up. Have a nice day.
You too, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you, sir.